So Rockstar have taken a massive U-turn and I don't quite understand it. In today's video, we're going to take a look at this update and also we're going to talk about how this could possibly affect GTA 6. But before we get into today's video, I'm trying to get to 20,000 subscribers, so if you could take a second or two just to tap that subscribe button, it's massively appreciated. So Rockstar have updated their community guidelines, and what the community guidelines are is exactly what they sound like. It's a list of guidelines that you have to operate within to avoid you being banned or just to make sure that you're actually adhering to Rockstar's terms of service. And it also acts as a precedent for Rockstar to ban you from using their platforms and services if you violate anything in these agreements. So Rockstar actually updated their community guidelines and they added in some very interesting points. And yes, they're very strange. So there's a lot of the usual stuff in there. You can't harass other players, but they've added a new clause, which is you can't grief other players. Now, for all intents and purposes, I agree with this. I think griefing other players is just such a rubbish thing to do as a person. If you spend your whole time playing GTA just trying to irritate other people, you're not really fun to play with and you're not making the community a better place. However, what Rockstar have done is essentially the same as giving a child a piece of paper and a load of crayons and saying to them, you can't use them. Having things like the Mark II oppressor and all of these futuristic vehicles that enable people to get across the map quickly, fire rockets at people, and interrupt their gameplay, and they know full well the vast majority of people are using the Mark II oppressor for that. Now I know what you're typing in the comments.
I only use the Mark II oppressor to get around the map really quickly.
Some people do, and that's sound, whatever, do what you want. But most people are using the Mark II oppressor to grief people. But what Rockstar have done is given people all of the tools to make griefing possible, and then told them by using them it's punishable. Because what they've realized is they can't remove the Mark II oppressor and these other vehicles from the game. They're not able to do it because people have paid for shark cards to buy these vehicles, or they've grafted on the game for a serious amount of hours to get the money to buy these vehicles. So by removing them from the game, they would face an absolute ton of backlash. So what they've tried to do instead is limit the way that these vehicles are used. And to be honest, it's annoying and it's weird and it's confusing, but it's kind of smart. So the first thing these community guidelines say at the very top of the page is say sorry, be nice. That is the most un-Rockstar thing that has ever existed on their website. I'm really sure of it. Community guidelines. We have an incredibly vibrant Rockstar Games community. Every day, millions of players across the globe are working their way up the criminal ladder in GTA Online, or living the life of an outlaw in Red Dead Online. While these fictional worlds are filled with possibilities, maintaining a foundation of fair play, respect, and player safety for everyone is our highest priority. This is the most corporate thing I've ever read. To ensure a positive gaming experience, including a welcoming, fun, and fair environment for our community, we encourage everyone to follow these basic guiding principles and to adhere to our community guidelines. Additionally, these guidelines outline what behaviour and actions we do not allow, as more fully detailed in our terms of service, and will be updated periodically to reflect any ongoing changes to the player experience. If you observe players not acting in accordance with our community guidelines, we strongly encourage you to report this behaviour using the in-game reporting tools or through options available on our website. Now recently, I've heard a few people talk about this, that Rockstar Games are now actually investigating people's reports. Before, when you used to report people in GTA Online, 9 times out of 10 nothing happened. But it looks like now they are actually taking reports in the game more seriously. And I think realistically, they're probably seeing that some of the original players that played a couple of years ago aren't playing now. So it could be something to do with bringing back the older community that are playing the game. Because yeah, it's all good bringing young people up through the bottom playing GTA Online, but if you're losing some of the original players out the top, it's not really beneficial to Rockstar or Take-Two. Now this is the part of the community guidelines that is very interesting. Fair play. Playing fairly is integral to an enjoyable experience for everyone. Cheating is disruptive and counter to the spirit of friendly competition at the heart of our online games. Whilst griefing can ruin the fun by creating a negative environment for one or more players, both behaviours can lead to the loss of player privileges. We define these behaviours as follows: cheating, gaining an unfair advantage by using cheats, exploits, hacks, or other third-party software, and I think we can all agree with that, that's fair enough. Griefing, intentionally annoying another player or interfering with their experience and progress by using the game in unintended ways. For example, spawn killing, stream sniping, driving the wrong way in a race with the intention to disrupt. Now the problem is some of Rockstar's online missions encourage you to interfere with someone reaching an objective. The whole point is you're supposed to stop the opponent from getting somewhere or doing something. So where is the line? Because this isn't a set of boundaries, this is really objective. Now I, for all intents and purposes, agree that we should stop people griefing. It's annoying and it ruins gameplay for other players. But the thing is, this is vague. What is griefing? For example, in GTA Online, if someone keeps attacking me and then I decide to fire some rockets back and they report me for griefing them, who's getting banned? How do Rockstar know the context? Because an employee isn't going to watch for 2 hours of gameplay to figure out who was in the wrong. So what is the context? What is the defining clear line? And this comes to the crux of the issue here, which is This isn't policeable. This looks like a corporate company saying, look, we're trying to do the right things, but it's not something they can really enforce in any way, shape or form. It's really confusing that Rockstar would even introduce this because, like I said before, maybe it's a way for them to limit the use cases for these futuristic vehicles, but at the same time, it's not enforceable. They can't police this at all. Then of course it goes into other things that aren't allowed, which is just all the standard stuff that we all agree with. And then finally we got onto consequences. If a player violates our community guidelines, we reserve the right to take action against that account. The type of action will depend on the case, the severity, and the frequency of the violations we find on the account. If appropriate, these violations will be reported to law enforcement. I'm guessing that's more in serious things. The police aren't gonna knock on your door for griefing. Players who are found to violate our community guidelines may see additional enforcement actions taken against their account, including feature suspensions and account suspensions and bans. Now this brings me on to GTA 6. How could this possibly affect GTA 6 and what knock-on effects could it have? Well, overall, we need to look at this from like an outside perspective. We need to take a step back and actually have a look at what they're trying to do here. Not necessarily what this says, but reading between the lines. Overall, currently in GTA Online, they've given a load of players tools that will enable them to grief other players. The Mark II oppressor and other vehicles like that. They do make it easier for people to grief other players. It's just the nature of what those vehicles do. Now, I didn't realize that so many people felt this way about the Mark II oppressor. I did a poll recently on the channel. I mean, the results speak for themselves. But at the same time, Rockstar can't just remove these vehicles from GTA Online for the reasons we discussed earlier. People have paid for them. So limiting the use cases and basically adding in a preventative measure where people are scared to use these features of these vehicles because it could result in them being banned from lobby or even banned from the game in general. It looks like this is Rockstar's way of implementing something without implementing anything at all. But overall, it's a very interesting topic, and I think what makes it so interesting is how vague it is. It's a lot of nothing. And in terms of what this can mean for GTA 6, well, it could either mean that they want to pull away from futuristic vehicles and we won't have futuristic vehicles in GTA 6 in the online component of the game. But on the same note, it could also mean the complete opposite to that. It could mean that they would introduce futuristic vehicles, but they're putting these policies in place to counteract people using them for griefing. However, looking at what the general consensus from the community is, especially based on that poll that I did earlier in the week, it looks like a lot of Rockstar's community don't want these futuristic vehicles. And as I mentioned in other videos, Rockstar are always going to act in the best interest of what the majority of their community want. Like I said before, they want to make this the most commercially viable and mass appealing game possible. But in terms of what these new rules mean, as we mentioned before, it's not really policeable because griefing isn't really defined. Like, where is the line between a player griefing another player and people just playing Grand Theft Auto? Because by nature, a lot of the Grand Theft Auto online missions are kind of griefing anyway. Do you know what I mean? It's very difficult. I'm really keen to hear what your thoughts on this down below, so please drop a comment and let me know, because I'm confused. I'm completely bamboozled. That's the only time I'm ever using that word on this channel. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. If you did enjoy it, please consider liking and subscribing. And if you want to become a channel member and have your name featured at the end of every videos, just click the join button down below. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.